All right. Hey, g'day. Oi. Hey. Hey. Oi. G'day. Wake up, baby. Welcome to In the Back of My Head podcast, my weekly little creative journal. I talk about creativity, what's in my brain, try and get it out of the back of my brain, out of the back of my head, into yours. I have now stopped making noise, so you could consider this take 2. I was making a lot of noise. Once I get my new mic and I have found the mic that I want and money is on its way, I'm in that stage. Don't you hate that stage when you've got some cash? You actually have a little bit of cash, but it's not in your account. You're waiting for someone else. Maybe the annoying part of doing more like freelance work, stuff where you actually have to invoice people, and you're waiting for invoices to be paid, is what it is. Benefits, pros and cons to different styles of work. Anyway, once that cash is in my account, better microphone coming at you, better audio. You're gonna hear my voice just as crispy as it once was with my old setup. But with my old setup, you didn't see my face. Again, pros and cons. Thinking about the pathways to success, or rather, people who think they know the pathways to success. I might have talked about this before, but it's fresh in my mind because I had a conversation with someone. I was going to say that resonated with me. It didn't resonate with me. It frustrated me. Generally speaking, topics that I talk about on here usually come from conversations with people where I got frustrated. Frustrated at the shit that they're talking about. And in this particular case, I had a very old school, old industry mindset of how to get somewhere as an artist. And I'm sure we've all encountered such things, especially if you encounter things on YouTube or what have you. 10 tips Spotify doesn't want you to know. 15 tips on how to grow a following from nothing. You know, I've watched those. I have implemented different techniques, methods, marketing, blah, 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 to my music, in order to try and grow my audience from nothing. And I think there is valid information and takes, and I have also given information and takes. I've given tips on how to succeed as a musician. It's different if you're like trying to succeed as something that has a more straightforward, tangible path. Though interestingly, I saw in the States, they are currently, a lot of employers are are now doing away with college degree requirements to get jobs. So we're talking things like, you want to get into marketing? You don't need a marketing degree. You need real world experience, which can also be a bit of a pain in the ass, you know? And it's like, I want to do this thing. I want to get started. And they say, cool. Why is this always reset? My fucking aircon always resets its fan setting. I don't want it to be blasting. I don't want it to be a whisper of cool air trickling across my delicate face to remind me that I'm still alive. That's it. That's exactly what we're looking for. It's hard when you want to just get into a thing. And they say, well, we need you to get some experience. And say, well, how the fuck do I get experience? So that's its own pain in the ass in some cases, especially when the requirements are totally absurd. Like, we need you to have 10 years experience in this software. It's like, that software has existed for fucking 11 years. You think I jumped on board straight away? Go fuck yourself. But getting rid of college requirements, fucking fantastic, right? or in this country, university requirements. Because people don't need that shit. It's so useful. And I think something like a university degree is an obvious one, or a college degree, or what have you. This is designed for, maybe it's designed for most people. Maybe it is designed for most people. I would disagree. I think most of us would fucking disagree that it's designed for a particular kind of person. Someone who is very easily can focus, complete the tasks at hand, and is honestly kind of good at following directions. You could say orders. I wouldn't. Someone else might, though. Someone more flippant than I would say such a thing. Let's stop making too much noise. Let's stop making too much noise. That's only one way for people, you know? Whereas a lot of people, like myself, prefer just doing shit. Just making shit happen themselves. I get that it's harder to kind of prove your point, you know? It's harder to show that you can do a thing. Oh my God, that sun is insane. Let's deal with that real quick. It's harder to prove that you can do a thing if your experience, or if your skill set is entirely experience based. But that's most of the world now, right? At least what we're talking about, at least in terms of like, what am I talking about? What are we talking about? Look at that, even that still looks quite good considering the blinds are down. All right, let's move on from college degrees and what have you. But I think it is an indication of understanding that there's so many shakeups in the world of, I guess, progressing careers and stuff like that. I mean, even there's that idea that like back in the day you would have maybe one career until you died at the age of 45, because that's when everyone died of the plague. How far back am I going? And then now you have 45 different careers, one for every year, because we're all flippant motherfuckers. We all have ADHD now, and so that sounds. That's not how I wanted that to sound. You understand what I mean? Not coming down on ADHD, rather. Say that we all have bad attention spans, maybe because of capitalism. But my point is that traditional pathways of doing things, and traditional pathways of doing things have only existed, for a certain amount of time anyway, at least to the majority of the working class. But nonetheless, those things are changing, and I think that rings true across all industries. Do I know what the fuck I'm talking about? I don't know what I'm talking about, but I think my point is that I don't think anyone else knows what the fuck they're talking about. If you want to become a doctor, if you want to become a rocket scientist, if you want to become I looked up, I was like, can I drive a train? Is that an option for me? And then I found out, no, you need an engineering degree. I was like, that makes sense. That makes sense. In fact, you don't call them drivers, you call them engineers. Or is there a driver? There's always two, unless you're in the States, in which case they're trying to reduce it down to one for giant 4-mile freight trains. And then we get issues like the Palestine derailment and chemical spill. That's not my point. Different rant. But you need two. You need the driver and the engineer in a freight train. You ideally have more than that, but that's the bare minimum. So if you're going to try and do something like that, then 100%, yeah, you got to get a degree. There's probably there's a level of importance in certain knowledge that you need to have to operate these things correctly. And you could learn how to do open heart surgery by learning on the job, but it would be messy. That's not what we want. That's not what we want to happen. But almost in all other circumstances, especially like how many just office jobs are there that you did not need that degree for? And this is where it applies to music and creativity for me, is marketing. Is people think that they know how to market correctly. And I definitely don't. And I'm not saying that I do. I definitely do not know how to market my work or anyone else's work. I think the one thing that I do know is that it's changing every single day. And that's something to be really aware of when someone starts talking to you about, oh, here's what you got to do. Because here's what you got to do could have been applicable 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 40 years ago. But what's applicable now? 10 years ago, TikTok didn't exist. And in 1 year from now, TikTok might not exist again. Thanks to the US government. The fucking cunts. Jesus Christ. If you haven't seen that, which I'm sure you have, but if you haven't, TikTok is being banned in the United States of America, the land of freedom of speech. They're saying for security risks, they're saying, oh, so because they steal your data. They steal your data and give it to the Chinese government. We can't have that. As if the Chinese government can't just buy your fucking data from Meta or fucking any other social media company or from Google. Like, that's what they all do. I think you're annoyed that you can't control them. I think you're annoyed that you can't control the narrative. I think you're annoyed that pro-Palestine content flows a lot more freely on TikTok than it does on Instagram or what have you. I think you're annoyed that TikTok beat you at your own fucking game. I think you're annoyed that TikTok is just better than all of your other bullshit. Anyway. TikTok didn't exist 10 years ago. And so I've had people say to me, like, when a release is coming out, oh, you got to do a music video. You have to put a music video out. I'm like, well, no, I don't. First of all, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to put the music out at all. I could put the music out and not tell anyone. There's nothing I have to do. And now obviously I'm being flippant. That's not what they mean. They say you should if you want this music to succeed. I've made music videos. I've put music videos out. And they don't get a lot of views. That in itself is not enough. That in itself is not enough. But said in that way, as if it's like, oh, here's the trick, is you got to do a thing. Putting out a music video is fantastic. I think actually, but then I think to someone like OK Go. But I think that's the perfect example of this. Is because putting out a music video is great, but if you put out a music video or something like that is cookie cutter, just your generic, hey, here's my music, here's me singing. Imagine like those 2000s era. Remember when movies used to come with like a music film clip of a band that was playing in it? So like, say Blink-182 is playing, it has a song featured in the movie, and then there's a film clip as a bonus feature on the DVD that is like the band playing in a warehouse and then cuts to parts of the movie. Those were fucking dumb. Those were so stupid. I just don't see the appeal. Like seeing a band like, a perfect example, someone like Smash Mouth fucking playing some tunes and then cuts to Shrek. Before the memes. Alright, let's drop this on as well. My God, the sun coming through that is just bonkers. Okay. But OK Go. Yeah, if you put out a generic video like that, then yeah, fucking sure, you know. Nothing. I don't think a lot's gonna happen. But if you put out something like OK Go, that was, we're going to build a giant marble run out of Vauxhall Astra parts, and it's all going to be in time with the music when the marbles run down. Okay, I'm going to watch that. I wonder how many more people have got onto their music. But I loved them. I listened to one of their albums and I loved it. It was on high rotation for quite a while. And I wouldn't have known them unless it was for those music clips. music videos. But that's then you get execs like trying to replicate that, or people giving tips like, oh, you know what you need if you want to get your music out there, you need to make a music video like OK Go. I need to make a music video like OK Go. First of all, is that suitable for my music? And second of all, I don't have an idea. What if I don't have an idea like OK Go? People are always like scrambling to match what worked. It's impossible to predict what's going to work next. TikTok is the great example of kids figuring out like, oh, I'm going to market myself on TikTok, and then all the music industry, all the major record labels are telling their artists, you need to have a TikTok now, and you need to make TikTok-friendly music. And they say, we don't want to do that. We don't make that kind of music. And they go, we don't care. We've locked the doors. I'm going to edit me fucking around with the mic out. I'm going to edit that shit out. They're always trying to copy what to do. They can't predict what is going to work next. And I think about this all the time. So I had this conversation with someone who said like, oh, well, you should be either blowing up on radio or playing live a bunch. These are your two pathways. And they were being flippant. And so I am responding with flippancy. I am reducing their argument down to only that and making up the rest, as we all do when we do this kind of shit, when we talk about like, oh, this person said this thing and it made me think this thing. And I can't believe they would think this thing. It's like, they didn't think that. You use them now. You got a caricature version of them in your head. I do it all the time. I say that all the time on this. I say like, people say this. This person said. I don't know anyone. I don't talk to anyone. I'm online. I'm perpetually online. I don't know anyone. I say shit like the fucking people on the right wingers. They say this. I don't know any right wingers. I haven't talked to any right wingers. The few that I have talked to have been like fucking conspiracy theorists. I don't know if they really count. They're kind of their own breed. But radio is great. Radio is fucking fantastic if you can get onto it, right? But it's not the be-all, end-all. It also depends on where you are. Like I think radio means a lot more in the States. I don't think it means nearly as much here in Australia. I think it means nearly as much in Melbourne. I think probably more so in Melbourne than maybe some other Australian cities. But there's only so many radio stations and there's so many musicians. And so like that's a really hard place to go. Or playing live. Again, there's only so many places to play live, gigs to play. Depends on what genre as well. I've thought about this a lot with my music, like playing hip hop. That I don't think my music, the brand of hip hop that I make, I don't think is very interesting to the local Melbourne hip hop scene. There are people who fuck with it. I've met some amazing people who really love what I'm doing, and I appreciate that. But I think to the majority of people who go to hip hop gigs, they don't really give a shit, and I don't blame them. And I think that's fine. I think that's in maybe some other cities or countries, especially bigger cities in bigger countries, it might not be as big of an issue because there'll be more niches. But there are niches in Melbourne, but like the audience size is probably so small, in my opinion, that it would be nigh impossible to then break out of that niche. You might find a great community, and I have found a great community. That's the other thing. I've found people who love my music, and I love their music, and we get along, and it's all beautiful. I don't know if we're going to blow up from that, you know? It's not like a scene where, okay, well, now we've got this foundation, now we can take it elsewhere. That's maybe a bit difficult. And so you have to do it elsewhere. And that's why I look to more things like, I was watching videos on Vaporwave, or rather an evolution of Vaporwave that has happened recently, called Barber Beats. And it's just basically sample flips, but really tasteful, clever sample flips. And these producers aren't making any money because all of their shit gets copyright striked, which makes sense. They're sort of stealing music, but I believe in sample flips and all that kind of stuff is repurposing, recontextualizing. I think that's very suitable. And unless you're making fucking bank and not telling people where you got the samples from. I don't know, gray area. And they're not doing a lot in terms of like production wise, but they are learning a lot about production, I assume, just from doing this and album construction, and they are making a name for themselves, and I'm sure meeting a lot of people. And it's music that can only exist in the online space, and in fact, not only in the online space, but like realistically, it was on YouTube. It's on Bandcamp as well, but shit gets taken down on Bandcamp. But when they're like infringing on royalties a lot, but it kind of exists only on YouTube. And the YouTube music space I find is really fascinating because it's because you can upload music that uses other people's material that would, in any other circumstance, be deemed illegal. And what they do is instead they say, oh, you're using this person's music. We're going to send all the ad revenue to that person. Problem solved. Moving on. Everyone's happy. Your music can stay up, but you're not making any money from it. There's probably arguments about like the share of music depending on how much work you put into a creation. But at the end of the day, like it still exists, and it can only exist there. And if you can blow up in that space and then maybe take that elsewhere, maybe you circumnavigate the radio stations, you circumnavigate playing live, you just make this weird art that exists only on YouTube, and then a few other people find you and they go, oh, this is really cool, man. And you go, oh, thanks so much. And now you are actually at a level where you can tour and do all these other things and maybe make production that is wholly your own music and work with MCs and yada, yada, yada. Completely circumnavigating that space. And it only exists because of a platform like YouTube. It could not have existed 20 years ago. I think that's cool. I think that's really exciting. It's really daunting because it's an obvious thing that people do, that like they want to know the pathways so that they know how to do it. If they were to do it, how would they do it? Or if they're currently doing it, how are they doing it? You want a clear path, but there is no clear path. There is absolutely no clear path, especially in life in general. But especially in art, especially in being a creative, there is no right or way wrong to do this, and there's no surefire bets or certainty. I actually find that really exciting, though. I find that actually quite exciting. I've been doing this for so long. I've been doing this for like fucking 15 years, putting out material, putting out something, you know? And I have that in the back of my head the whole time. I love playing live. I don't have the drive to push for that to be the thing. Radio is cool. I don't think my music's super radio friendly. I would like to get more radio play, and I think I think I have some pathways coming up that I will be able to utilize. But generally speaking, like I've got other pathways in my mind, and I don't know what they are. But I'm just laying out little bits and pieces. It's sort of what vibing is, running a collective rather than just doing my own shit. Is sort of my way of like, I'm going to insert myself into the industry this way, and then when that platform's there, existing, then I can put myself on, and slightly in an insincere way at times. Generally speaking, it comes from a place of like, I want to help people platform their stuff. That's why Vibing exists. But it definitely was a helpful thing. It helps, rather. It's not the reason Vibing exists to just platform my music. That is not what it is. Otherwise, you would see my music on Vibing all the fucking time, which is not. But instead, it stops the thought process of like, oh, I should be focusing only on my stuff. This is more of like this is where my skill sets lie. This is what makes sense to me, is running events and shit like that. So I'm going to do that because that's a pathway that makes sense to me rather than these other pathways. And maybe, yeah, for other people, you don't want to do any of that and you just want to make weird SoundCloud shit and blow up on SoundCloud or blow up on TikTok or blow up on the next social media company that will come up. Who knows what it is? Again, TikTok has only been around for a little while. TikTok, not long ago, we were like, what the fuck is that? I still say, what the fuck is that? I don't know. I don't use it. Because I'm an old man, secretly. Yeah, I don't know. There is no pathway, and I think that's exciting. There's no exact way of succeeding. And that's cool. That's exciting to me. It's freeing. That's freeing. It means you can do this and make art in however you want to make it. And release it however you want to make it. And find success however you want to make it. Or not. Don't fucking do anything. Who gives a shit? Not important. That's in the back of my head podcast. Number 42, I think, off the top. Did this one make sense? Is this a thing? I don't know. Hey, I asked last time, I'd love to ask again if you're enjoying these. They're obviously a little bit rambly. This one's getting on. This one's a bit longer. Ugh. I try and keep them to 20 minutes now, but this one's a little bit longer. I might be able to cut it down. If you're enjoying these, you find them at all helpful or anything like that, please obviously like and comment and like and subscribe, but leave a comment. Leave a comment about what you're working on, where you're at creatively, what's in your head that we can talk about. I want it to be a conversation at some point. That'd be fucking sick. Better microphones on its way. Money's coming. Better microphones coming. I want money just so I can make better stuff. That's it. On that note, subscribe to my Patreon. Alright, so I can see you later, you cunts. Bye.